I will say this though, as we start recording, before we go into you and learning about you, one thing I wanted to talk about, and I was deliberately doing this before I click record, because I want to see your reaction to this. You're a big fan of The Rock, right? Like me. And did you hear that he's released a rap album?
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Let's just say, I'm not the biggest fan of his rapping, but you got to give it to the guy.
That's everything.
The thing is, though, it's one of those things. Like, you're talking about mindset and shit. This is a guy who's just like, fuck yeah, I can do anything. And everyone always goes, oh my God, you're so talented. Just someone who's willing to put himself out there and try new things and just fucking do shit. Because half the time, that's all it is. It's just the willingness to try something and put yourself out there, which many aren't. So,
have you seen his Vanity Fair video?
Oh, I saw a clip of that.
Oh, he's brilliant. You just zoom in on him and talk like increasingly personal questions, and they're so interesting. And it's like when you listen to The Rock, and like you said, it's like things like he was told to lose weight when he started in Hollywood, and he was told he had to act a certain way and be a certain way, and and how when he felt insecure and was like, even The Rock feels the same things we deal with on a day-to-day basis. You make sure to push through.
Look, the fact of the matter is, it's like the two people that I admire most, they're my kind of two celebrity admire most, and there might be like the cliche ones, whatever, but it is Arnie and it's The Rock. And people are like, when I say Arnold Schwarzenegger, everyone's like, oh yeah, because he's a bodybuilder. I'm like, no, not one bit because he's a bodybuilder. I don't think he had the best physique ever. I don't love him because he's a bodybuilder. I loved him for the fact that he was a kid stuck in this little town in Austria, and it's like he said, "I want to be a bodybuilder." I want to go to Hollywood, and he put posters of bodybuilders up on his wall. But he had to join the army, and this guy was walking in the snow with holes in his feet for like miles a day. But he joined the army, and he was literally doing weight. He put dumbbells in the tank. And then when he finished his day's work at 10 o'clock at night, with a torch, would do a workout. But he left the army. He literally ran away from the army to do what he wanted, risking getting arrested. Then, he just went, okay, I'm going to America now. Everyone's like, what? Yeah, see you later. And when he's in America, no one knows this, or if you read his book, people will. But he was like a millionaire or something, doing like property and trading and building works with Franco before he got into films. Then he done the elocution lessons because everyone said to him, you can't be a bodybuilder, you can't be the best, you're a little kid from Austria. He did it, but it was like, I'm going to be an actor. Oh, no one does that. You can't do that. Look at the way you speak funny. So he went to elocution lessons and got better. Bodybuilding, he'd done ballet lessons to learn how to move. That's how he became such a good poser, because he'd done ballet lessons. Like, he put himself out there. And then when he said, and then he became, so the acting part, I'm bouncing over the shop here. Then he done the acting, and he became the highest paid actor, stroke actress, basically, in person in Hollywood. When everyone told him he spoke funny and he's got no chance. And then when he said, I want to be governor, everyone laughed at him. Literally, when he says, don't believe the naysayers, he's a guy who every time he has said, I am going to do something, and we're not talking, oh, I'm just going to do something little. We're talking, I'm going to become the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm going to go to Hollywood and become an actor, and I'm going to become governor of California. They're not small things, of three completely different things. And every time that he has said, I'm going to fucking do this, he's fucking done it, no matter how many people laughed at him. And if you can't admire that, then you're a lost cause, because that is fucking an amazing story, and an amazing person to have that mindset of, I can do anything, when everyone told him along the way, even his parents, you can't do it. So, it's just crazy. And then obviously The Rock, was broke. His old story, isn't it? That's why his business is called $7 or whatever it's called. Is it $7? Is it $7?
I think so. Yeah, could be
something like that. But it's basically the name of his company is around the fact that one day he was sitting on a park bench, 20 years ago? It actually wasn't that long ago. It's like 17 years ago. He was sitting on a park bench with $7 to his name, broke. And he went, I'm going to change this and never be like this ever again. And
dealing with a lot of hate. That when he first started in I think it was Survivor Series 98, like he was this white meat baby face, typical Vincent Mann project of like, just smile all the time, be happy to be there. And he got chants of die, Rocky, die. Like imagine thousands of people telling you to die live on air, night after night. And yet you not only don't let it get to you, but you actually use it to fuel you to carry on and push through and become probably the most loved wrestler in history, maybe other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, and like, it's like, that's incredible thing to do. Like to have that confidence to be yourself on canvas or something, to a degree.
Oh, exactly. And at the end of the day, if you look at any of these really successful people, I love the Kevin Hart story. Like you get his book, that's a great one as well. But if you read any of these books, you read any of these rags to riches books, Tony Robbins, like all these guys who have been flat broke at some point, and then they've become the biggest names in the world. What is the one thing they all have in common? At some point, it's kind of like what do you think? What's in common?
At some
There's
point,
there's one thing.
Some point they face adversity and they just power through it, right?
Well, yeah, but the main thing is they've all just accepted who they are.
Yes.
They've gone, like Kevin Hart, all the short jokes in the world, like literally every short joke is on him, but because he had to accept one day, I'm fucking short, take it. There's some people out there you call short, they want to fight you. How dare you call me short? Because they're still angry about it. Yeah. You're fucking short. Deal with it. You got blonde hair, you got ginger hair, you have it. Fine. If someone, because the thing is, the one thing what happens is when people take the mick out of you and you get mad, you're giving your power away. Power is accepting who you are. And if someone takes the mick and accepting who you are, accepting your flaws and your strengths. And if it's like I would say, you can't laugh at yourself, who the fuck can you laugh at? And as soon as you get angry or mad about something someone said about you, you lose all power and you give someone else power. And when you look at any of these successful people, or I don't even want to say successful because they're way past successful, the uber successful people, the one thing they have done at some point in their life has gone, this is who I am. I am this person. And I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to use who I am to the max, because at the end of the day, our individuality is our strength. People think our uniqueness, our little weirdnesses, is that a word? Weirdnesses? Our strange things about us are all these weird things that we do. When you're growing up, people think are wacky and they're like, oh, why can't you be like everyone else? Or you're so weird. They're the things which make us unique. And they're the things what later on in life are what is going to, you should embrace, become who you are. And you're just like, all these superstars, Lady Gaga and everyone, virtually most of these people have been bullied at some point in their life for being who they are. And then they kept being who they are. And now growing up, they're fucking killing it.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways with this sort of stuff. I've talked about this before on podcast mine and other people's that have gone on, where it's like, any time in my life where I've been risk averse or I've decided not to bet on myself or not to be who I am, everyone talks about the risks of making decisions or speaking up or doing something, when people actually don't think about the risk and they think the detriment of not doing that. Like every time you're not, I don't want to say living your truth, it's so corny, but like not being who you are, not being authentic, you're just reinforcing that you shouldn't be. And you just go further and further down a hole, I think, if you do that. Like going on to a little bit about yourself and your story, because I think this is a good segue onto sort of like your journey from mentally before we go on to the physical side of things, is that like, you've been, open that you've gone through some, really, really tough times. And you've also been very open with me about times where you felt that you couldn't be yourself or you were told not to be yourself. But it's very clear since starting Fitness Rebels that your personality has come out more and more and more and more and more. Like You know, the bright blonde Bieber haircut, the bright pink cap, the clothing, the fashion, the brand, you know, the way you train is very different to how you used to train. Like, there's more and more confidence coming out in you. Like, where was the sort of that moment where it sort of flipped, where you were like, I'm going to start betting on myself? And how have you built that confidence?
I would say I did that out of necessity in lockdown. Everyone needs a switch. Everyone needs something at some point in their life to go, oh fuck. You can't, like, and I will always say this, you have to kind of hit rock bottom to actually find out who you really are. And there was a time I hit rock bottom. So that made me question a lot of shit. And that was when I went through a lot of stuff. And it was kind of like coming out of that rock bottom that it just made me think. And then when the COVID stuff hit and lockdown, I was like, fuck, I've actually got to do something now. Or else it's going to go downhill even more. You've got to be proactive. I was like, fuck. And so I just literally that day just put it out there. And we'll probably talk about it later on or in a minute. But I can tell you right now, my mentality changed when I changed my environment. Like you were saying, my personality, my confidence, my dress sense, my fashion, that has literally all changed in the last 3 months, like on a dramatic sense. Why? Because we after a long time working hard for me and my wife, things are now starting to hit good. And moving out of our old apartment now into a huge house with all nice stuff, it's like now the hard work's been worth it. Fuck, being me is working. Doing what we're doing is working. And it just created, and with this new environment, it's like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to keep building myself, keep being myself. And it's kind of like just the old me starting to come out more and more and more. And it's not because we've moved into this house. Well, it is because we moved into the house, but not the house itself. It's what it represents. It's that 20 years of actually believing in ourselves, of going through hell. Fuck, it's worth it. We're there. It's still not, we're only at the beginning still, but it was like, we've done it by being ourselves. We've not changed who we are. And it's just made me think, I just want to keep, I'm still not there yet. We're always progressing. We're always moving. I've never speak like this. This is going to be quite an interesting one because even on my podcast, I don't talk about it in that, but I've still got a picture of who I want to be. And I'm nowhere near that. I'm at the beginning of my journey again because I'm rebuilding. I built myself to something which I loved, and then I broke, and then I'm rebuilding again. And I have the vision. I know who I want to be, how I want to be, and every single day I'm building that person, and I'm fucking and it's a good place.
Do you think, like, I often talk about like the buzzword a lot of times when people talk about mindset stuff, especially in the coaching game, is imposter syndrome. And I tend to go the opposite way with imposter syndrome, saying I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If it paralyzes you, there's a detriment to it. But I think it's my imposter syndrome that sort of pushed me to better myself in terms of education. It's pushed me more in my training because it pushed me to be like that person that you have on your wall pushes you. Do you think, because we are both like wired that way and like always striving, always pushing, always seeing where we could be better, do you think you'll ever truly get to a point where I'm at that wall, I've made it? Or do you think once you get to that first image, you'll still be thinking of the next step?
Oh, I'm always going to be thinking about that, but it's that cliche. It's always a journey. You're never going to be the finished product. And it's what you just said there, is the imposter syndrome is not necessarily a bad thing unless it does paralyze you. But that's true imposter syndrome. I don't think imposter syndrome is necessarily where I am as such, as in the way I am and everything else. There's a little bit of it, but it's a good point. I just don't think it's hard to get out of that imposter syndrome. Like the people I speak to and the people I know, a lot of them have it. It's because you just expect more, you want more. And if you have high standards and you want a lot, it's always going to be the case. You're always going to feel like that. But I know I'm not kind of trying to think what to say, but one thing I will say on that is maybe not an imposter syndrome, because that is a whole psychological side of things, but always wanting more, always progressing. Me and my wife are fucking awful at that. Like we've just moved into this house and I'm already wanting to go to a bigger house. It's just like I've always got my mind now on the next one in 3 years' time. So I'm always like, oh, you getting that new car now? You know, I've always got this, where do I want my business? Oh, my business is good. Where can I take it next? Now, that's nothing wrong with that. Now, what I would say is what is wrong with it is not living in the now and appreciating what we have in the now. Like that's one thing which I am working my fucking ass off to do. Because in the past, I've been very bad at literally, as you just said, hitting a goal. And it's like not even celebrate. Me and my wife got into a point where we just didn't celebrate anything, no matter how fucking good. You know, we just went, okay, what's next? We've hit that goal, what's next? And if you never take the time to celebrate the wins, you're never going to be happy. And I honestly don't think it's about being happy with where that's not what I'm looking for. It's not about accepting where you are and being comfortable. And people say, oh, you should be happy where you are, you know, stop wanting more. No, you should always want more. You always be driving to be better.
Join the process.
Because it's the process. Because when me and my wife get a lot more, it's because of the people we're becoming, what we are learning about people, about business, about finances, about whatever it is, we're learning and developing as a couple and as a people. So therefore, we're getting more because of the people we're becoming.
Yeah.
But one thing we are doing massively is celebrating. Like last year when I passed my exams at uni, that to me was like, well, it's expected. What now? You know what I mean? I've got no choice. I'm at uni. I've got to pass them. And you know, to me, that was just normal. Like, because it's like even that, I don't even give myself a pat on the back that I'm running a successful business while being in my 4th year of uni, doing an osteopathy degree. I don't even see that as people think it's impressive, or people message me saying, oh yeah, it's inspirational, or you motivate me. I'm like, I don't know, it's just me doing me. I'm just doing what I'm doing. And it's crazy because that's just our mindsets. And the point is, after we passed my exams, we literally made it like Sarah was like, right, fucking celebrating. We're going out. So we've just done a few things. I don't mean anything big, but we went and played our favorite things, crazy golf. we love everywhere. We just love crazy golf.
Yeah.
Crazy golf and then cinema. That was our celebration. Doesn't have to be big, but it's just taking a day. Even if it's just a day, when it's about you, it's about well done. You cheers to whatever you're celebrating. You celebrate that person. You celebrate the achievements. You celebrate. That to me is how you is the key to being happy while keep wanting more. You have to celebrate those wins. You have to be in the moment. You have to appreciate where you are at that time. So there's nothing wrong. Like now, I still want more, but I'm very appreciative and very happy and very content with what I've got now. I look around and smile every day and just think, okay.
Yeah, I suppose the pros and cons of network as well. We spoke a little bit about off air of like that sort of feeling of it's who you surround yourself with. It sort of gets in your psyche, and like it's supposed that pros and cons of sometimes that people say your network's your net worth, and I truly believe that you surround yourself with the right people that bring everybody up. But like I know for me, and I'm probably, you know, I think in a lot of ways we've shared similar journeys, and I'm just like, you know, a few years behind it. And like, I'm slowly starting to build my confidence back after having it taken away from me. And like, then I'm in that point now where I'm starting to enjoy the stuff I'm doing. I'm starting to sort of like appreciate the now, but I still get that because I'm surrounding myself with people that are already successful, already killing it, already doing well in their business. And I'm just looking at them and I'm just like, I'm comparing rather than going, hey, look where I was 6 months ago compared to now. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, you know, and like, it's not where I want to be, but it's like, do you know what? I was not here 6 months ago.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things when you tell others, it's like, do what I say, not what I do. But you have to realize everyone's on a different journey and everyone's got different times in that journey. Like, say, you know, we haven't come from money. Me and my wife, we're working for everything we have. Say I look at someone else, 25 years old, on Instagram. They got a gym. They're driving a Porsche, and they're saying, oh, how, you know, they're sitting there going, oh yeah, my coaching business, blah blah blah. It's like, and everyone gets jealous. Who's to say they don't come from a millionaire family where mummy and daddy just bought them a gym, they bought them the Porsche, and they built them that. They basically just had it easy. Like, I'm not taking it.
Always on credit.
Yeah, or it's on credit. And another thing as well, there's a lot of people who say, oh, my gym. Well, it's normally a personal trainer. When they've all of a sudden got my gym, it means a client has paid for your gym and you're just managing their gym. But anyway, it's just whatever it is. I'm not taking away from anyone else. But the point is, I might get what that 25-year-old has, but it's going to take me till I'm 45. When he's 25 and has it, but that's because he came from a higher starting point. He literally was starting at 20, he was starting at 24 years old when it comes to the financial safety or this financial help and the knowledge of his people around him, education, going to the schools and connections and all this kind of stuff. I'm just starting 20 years later. And the thing is, you can either sit there and be a little bitch about it. And I'm not going to go to anyone who does that, because I've done that plenty. It's hard not to. It's the world we live in. It's our mentality. It's our mindset. It's human nature.
And social media is a highlight reel now where you only see the good parts of people's lives, right? So you see you see the Lamborghini, you see the home gym. You don't see the moments of them doubting themselves.
But you have to, but it's not so about doubting, but you just have to sit there and go, he's on a different journey. Mm-hmm. I'm on this journey. Yes, he might have everything I want at 25. What the fuck have I been doing? But as I said, he started a lot higher up the ladder. And as I said, you can either bitch and moan about it, or you can sit there and go, good on him. He's taken opportunities of what he has. He's using that, working hard. I can't be mad. Well done. I'm on my journey. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. And that is the problem. Like I said, all the stuff we've been talking about is just, being yourself and focusing on yourself. And that's the problem though. The whole world is designed to make you feel shit about yourself. Marketing is made to feel shit about yourself, because marketing and advertising, it's, hey, ugly fuck, you wear this hat, you buy this clothes, or you wear this makeup, it's going to make you beautiful and you can have love. Oh, hey, look at this, you lonely people out there, if you buy this perfume, you'll have love. And the thing is, it sounds funny and everyone can laugh, but if you look at every billboard in history, all the adverts in history, they're saying, basically, subconsciously, they're saying, hey, you suck. If you buy my product, you're better. Mm-hmm. That's advertising, that's marketing. So, and then social media is pretty much the same. So subconsciously, every fucking day, you're being told you're shit. You're not good enough. And you have to have certain things to be successful. So I started that. But basically, so the only thing you can do is, which, every single day I try and focus on. And I think most successful people say the same shit. What's the old cliche saying? Focus on your own shit. Don't worry about anyone else. Focus on your own thing. Because like you said, you don't know their story. You don't know if the story they're telling is even real. You don't know, like I know do you know you can actually hire for about £500, I think, for an hour? You can actually go to a hangar, walk onto a private jet, get a load of photos taken, get a photo. They've got makeup artists by just by the plane, so where you can get your hair and makeup done. Then they'll take photos. Like, this is what people, this is what people do. They literally, and then they pay like £500, whatever. They walk up the steps, get a few photos, go into the plane, get a few photos, and that's it. And they post up, but they just paid £500 to get those photos. That is actually a thing. So even in real life, I don't mind if you are flying on that plane jet and that, but you're not. It's a complete lie. So this whole world is just literally made up of a lie. And that's why the old saying of focus on your own shit is so true. But saying that, do I do that all the time? Hell no. Do any of us do that all the time? Hell no. It's hard because our psyche is not made to do that. We are made to compare. Our brains do that. We compare, we judge. It's what our human brain does.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things. Every day you have to be aware of that. And every day you just got to wake up and go, right, let's just, like, I started deleting loads of people from my Instagram. Anyone who made me question anything, anyone who done anything, I was just like, right, nah, get out. You have to just basically focus on your own stuff, which is hard. And I'm not sitting here trying to be preacher. I'm just telling you kind of what should be happening, not what I do all the time.
Yeah.
Because I think too many people say that, it's not a case of look at me, I'm perfect. It's a case of these are the things what we need to do. It's hard. So you just have to be aware of it on a daily basis.
One of the things that helps me, one of the things that has helped me with the comparison thing, because it's something I definitely like battle with and have to stop myself doing. It's and I don't succeed at this every day, but I'm making a real conscious effort at the moment to try and hold off looking at messages, social media, until I've done something productive for me. And on the days I have very early clients, that could be as simple as sitting down for 5 minutes and having a coffee. On days where I have later clients, it's getting some content done, it's doing some studying, but it's something where I do something for me before I go on Instagram. Because like 40 years ago, you're only comparing yourself to Dave across the street. If Dave's got a boat, you want a boat. Whereas now you log on and see everybody with a boat. It's in there. And I think like today I failed at this miserably because I got an Instagram notification. I was like, and it wasn't a conversation I wanted to have. And I was like, that sets you up in a bad day. And now you start looking at it. Now you're scrolling. So, I think trying to like be a bit more targeted with how much time I actually use on social media rather than scrolling has helped a lot in the last couple of months to avoid this.
Oh yeah. It's like, I will 100%, I'm open about this. Well, I'm open about anything really, you know me. And the fact of the matter is, I am 100% confident in who I am, what I am, walking around like in real life. I will say, and I'll be who I am. If you put me in a room of 30, when I do my seminars, you hear the kind of shit that comes out of my mouth. You hear the way I talk, the way I dress, who I am, everything. I don't care. It's who I am. Accept me. I love it. I'm confident. As soon as I step on social media, who I am goes out the window and I question things. Which just shows you how it's a different, because to me, it's a different world.
It's your billboard.
It's a different world that I don't understand. Sure. And because I'm 40, I'm 41 years old. I've done a lot of changing. I've done a lot of growing in so many different things and learned so many different things. But then the next thing I have to get comfy with and learn is that social media world, because it's just weird to me. I'm old school. What can I say? So it is for me, it's really strange, and I'm always open for any advice on that kind of stuff. But in a real world, I don't know, because to be honest with you, everyone will say to you, and I think it is the most important place to be confident is the real world. Because how many people are the opposite? How many people are confident sitting on social media, talking to a fucking camera, taking pictures, but then if you put them in a room of 20 people, they get anxiety, they get nervous, and they shit themselves.
Yeah.
I know quite a few people like that. So I must admit, if I had a choice of being confident in either the real world or social media, I'd always pick the real world.
Yeah.
But I have to learn personally how to put my real world self in this world, in that social world. That's what I have not worked out yet.
Yeah. I think it's just, as we said off air, right? It's an art, and it's just a case of like being able to get over it, start doing it, building momentum in the same way that the new location built momentum for your career and the new environment. I mean, you speak a lot on, Fitness Lovers Radio, which is, by the way, probably my favorite podcast, especially now London Real went a bit mad. But you
really?
Oh God, the guy's gone off his rocker, mate. Like it was so good, but then it was like he tried to do the digital freedom platform, and he got David Icon, and then people found out that it was a Vimeo site that he was basically just saying was his own platform and just pocketing all the donations. And then to hide from that, he tried to be mayor of London. And then when he failed at mayor of London, now he's doing like Bitcoin investing courses all of a sudden, and everyone on the show is Bitcoin. I'm like, okay. But like a lot of people, it's like a common trend, especially in like the first sort of season of your podcast, where the common trend of values came up. You speak a lot about like knowing your values and ensuring you're living to your values. Like, and obviously this is more in relation to what other people have said to you. So like in terms of yourself, what are your values, and how have they changed as your career and as your business has changed?
The two values I've always kept, and the two values I will never, ever, ever, ever change, is honesty and integrity. Those two things to me have been with me my whole fucking life. No matter what my parents did, right or wrong, the one thing they did right, I don't know how or what, I can't remember any times, but I grew up and I just had a massive honesty and integrity thing about me. Like if you said to me, you would have to screw that one person over, but you'd make £1 million, I just couldn't. I wouldn't live with myself. I just couldn't do it. Yeah. It's just not in my nature. Like if you said, steal that 1 penny sweet, I just could. It would just feel fucking awful to me. Yeah. I just couldn't. And it was just, I'm just a big believer in the whole honesty and integrity. Like even in my past job at the last gym I was at, like Nick, the boss, like he said he always admired my honesty. If I screwed up, I was straight away go to him and say, look, I screwed up. We've got to do this. I'm fixing it by doing this. Just letting you know. Or I took it on the chin, because it's like my integrity is, look, I fucked up. Mm-hmm. I'm taking it on the chin. Punish me in whatever way, but I'm going to sort it out doing this. But I'm being open and honest with you.
Yeah.
And that to me is the way I've run my whole life. Is I don't lie. I just literally physically can't. It really does hurt me. I won't hold anything back in the sense of not as in when I say that, I mean as in I'm open. Like as I said to you, if I fucked up, I'll admit it. If I've got to apologize, I will apologize. I would never I don't like, it's that old cliche of don't treat people treat people how you want to be treated. It's that old, I just want to treat people nice. That's my thing. I don't, there's enough hate in the fucking world. I know I sound cliched and it sounds cheesy, but I've just always been that person. Honesty and integrity and hard work have always been, and that is literally what my Fitness Lovers brand is, basically integrity and hard work and passion. Like they're probably, if you talk about my values, that's probably them. Honesty, integrity, passion, hard work. Because when I was growing up, I was never I had a slight natural ability for sport, obviously, to do what I did, but it wasn't natural enough to ride it. I had to add a lot of hard work on it. So when I was at training, and that's kind of like where my thing about not being big enough always came from. Why I had to be bigger. Like even now I have troubles with my size, because I got told from the age of 13 years old to get what I wanted, I had to be bigger. So I wanted to play for Kent. It was like, no, sorry, Kent to play for Southeast England at 16. It was like, you got to be bigger. You're too small. So I got a bit bigger. I played for Southeast England. Then it was like, if you want to play for England, you have to be bigger. Okay, so I got bigger, played for England. If you want to play professional, get a contract, you've got to be bigger. Oh, for fuck's sake, get bigger, got a contract. Playing for the second team, you won't ever make it unless you get bigger. So I got told from the age of basically around 13, 14 years old that what I wanted to achieve, I had to be bigger at. So I had to keep working at getting fucking bigger. And the funny thing was though, every time I got bigger, I got my goal. So for 10 years of my life, at a very, when your brain's a sponge, for 10, 15 years of my life, my brain said, oh, when you get bigger, you get everything you want. And so that's where that shit came from. But that's another story. But the whole point is, it's the hard work I always had to keep putting in. When I was at training, when everyone, I was in a top sprint in rugby, I wasn't, my defense was shit. So I would stay out afterwards. When everyone's going in, I'll get the biggest person on the pitch, the second row or the number 8. Just, I say to them, run at me. And they'll be like, are you sure? Like, yeah, just run hard at me. I've got to learn. So I used to have them just pound the shit out of me after rugby training for about an extra 10 minutes. Just running at me nonstop. And I'll be like, I'll be in pain because they literally are right. They're like, I was at 80 kilos and I'm getting someone who's 120 just to run straight at me. And I'm like, well, I've got to learn. Or if they weren't willing to stay out, I would then do extra shuttle runs. So I wanted to be the fittest because I wasn't the biggest, but I knew that I could be the fucking fittest because that takes work. I could be the fastest. So to me, that was where that came from. And in athletics, I trained in an elite squad. Like 3 of them ended up going to the Olympics. Virtually every single one was a European champion. And I was like the little white boy at the back, just trying to keep up with everyone. But when they went in, I stayed out and done a couple of extra runs.
Yeah.
Or when I would throw up, go back to do another run, throw up, run, throw up, run, throw up, run. I wouldn't quit because I knew that for me to keep up with these people, I had to work 10 times harder. So I got a work ethic, ridiculous work ethic from a young age because I loved what I did. And I knew to get what I wanted, I had to work my ass off. So my values in the hard work and passion stemmed from a young age. And then as we said, we went into, when I went to bodybuilding, I would never be the biggest. So the work I had to put in to be big was fucking intense. But then I could get shredded because that's the one, genetics will always come into how big you can get. But hard work, that's what I've always said. Genetics will always play a part in how big you can get. But the hardest worker, whoever can take the most pain, the one who's got the best mindset will get the leanest. Mm-hmm. And so when I was bodybuilding, I thought, you know what? I can't be the biggest. I'm not going to be the prettiest because my ratios aren't the best. Fuck it. I'm going to be the leanest.
Yeah.
I'm going to show that I can work harder because I can't give genetics. I can't give up my shape. I can't be the biggest. So what can I prove? I can prove that I'm the hardest fucker in the room. Oh, sorry, hardest worker in the room. So one thing I've always had mentally is the work ethic of, well, I want something, I'm going to get it. And I'm going to, and as I've never been genetically gifted in any way, brains, brawn, whatever.
Yeah.
I've always had to work hard for it. So the hard work is a massive value. The integrity is just say what you're going to do and just don't fuck people over and just be nice. And I just can't. And when I see, and that's why when people kind of screw me over or people aren't good to me, it's why I take it so personally because I would never do that to someone else. So I get really upset or frustrated when other people are like that. And the one thing I realized actually, which chilled me out a lot as I got older, is that you can't put your own standards on everyone else. Because if you put your standards on everyone else, you're going to be heartbroken.
Yeah.
It's first and foremost, you're going to be heartbroken, because if your standards are high, I can pretty much guarantee you that 99% of the populations are. So don't go around thinking they are, because they're not. So the passion and hard work, I like with passion, I don't care what your passion is, as long as you give a shit about something. It could be stamp collecting. If you were passionate about stamp collecting, I would listen to you for an hour or two. If I could see the passion in your eyes, like if you were speaking about some rare, look at this print, it's kind of like 3D and it pops out at you, and look at this, it was made in 1979, and you lit up, you're jumping out your seat, I'll be enthralled. I just want to see passion for something. Give me something out of your fucking life. Because if you ain't got passion for anything, there's no point. What's the point? Yeah, I said just the honesty, hard work. I said honesty, I think, goes a long way. I'm honest with everyone. With me, you know where you stand. You know, if I like you, if I don't like you, I'll still treat you with respect. But you'll know that I don't like you. But if I like you, I like you. It does, you know where you stand. And I just want that from everyone else around me. I want to know where I stand. It just makes life easier. But again, 99% of the population won't do that.
Yeah.
They have no integrity and there's no honesty.
I think there's so much of that resonates with me. And I think, you know, you share, that's probably why we get on so well, but we share a lot of the same values. And I know, like, for me, the integrity is a huge one. And, you know, for me, and more so over the last few years, of like, similar to yourself, when you're let down, you realize how important it is to find someone with integrity, to find someone that carries themselves the way, not necessarily you feel they should, because that's holding someone else's standards, but just in treating people in the way that you know, like to see yourself treated and everyone else around you. I think I'm like you in the sense that when I've had those ideals questioned, I've taken that incredibly hard, and I've starting to learn exactly in both directions. When people let you down, or when people don't rise up to your level, either way. I found probably the times I felt the most stressed, the most disappointed in life, was where I was trying to say, I want that done, but that person's not meeting me halfway, or that person has disappointed me. And going back to what you said earlier on about focus on your own shit, like I'm not thinking about that. And, you know, like, as I say, taking things into your own hands. The hard work thing will also resonate with me, because that's a very, very similar story to me. Wasn't the greatest tackler in rugby. You know, always told I need to be bigger to play, stay behind to do that, stay behind to be quicker. You know, and like, similar thing when I first started UP. It was like, I'm not gonna be the biggest guy here, but I'm gonna start studying really hard so I can eventually be, you know, on a par intellectually. I'm gonna be the leanest on the photo shoot day. And, you know, like, still never got that big, but at least I got very lean. You know, I got 1 out of 2.
No, it is, and I said, and the other thing with all those values, the other thing which I try and I will try and keep doing is just to be yourself. I've got it tattooed across my chest, to thine own self be true.
Okay.
That actually is a Sarah's tattoo, because Sarah always wanted that tattoo on her, but she just won't get a tattoo.
Okay.
For one, too much pain, and two, it just wouldn't look good on her.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain people, she admits, she's like, it wouldn't look good on me. I'm not that kind of person. Yeah. But she always wanted it. So I was like, when I was getting tattooed, I was like, fuck it, I'll put it on me. So, like, I've got a couple of tattoos. Like, people don't know the meanings of all of them. But like, the to thine own self may be true. For one, it's what I do believe. Always be true to yourself. But also, it's also me carrying Sarah on my chest. Yeah. So it's kind of like a little ode. It's a little ode to her. but also while it's something which I believe in as well. That was the reason but the way to diagnose self, because she loves Shakespeare and that literature and everything. So that's why that's on my chest. But yeah, it's you've got to be true to yourself.
On the note of getting a tattoo for your wife, thankfully not of her name, but for for your wife. This is something I wasn't necessarily going to go into the podcast, but you brought this up and it just made me think. Ever since I've known you, one of your defining characteristics in a way is how respectful, how much you idolize, and how committed you are to your wife, to Sarah. Like, I've known people be like jealous of how close your relationship seems to be. Like, I don't know if you ever asked this, but like, what do you think has allowed you to have such a successful relationship where there's never, well, at least on the surface, it's never seemed to be a doubt in your mind?
No. Respect. 100% love and respect. One thing I see missing in a lot of relationships is respect. It's one partner wants power, or one partner bosses the other one around, or one other does not respect the other one. They might say they do, but the actions speak differently. Now, thanks for saying that. It's something which it's really nice to hear, and we do get that said a lot to us. How people are, oh, jealous, they get a bit jealous and everything, but we just see each other as equal. And what Sarah says, the funny thing is, we're a team. 100% we are a team. So there's a lot of things that I think I can give advice about, and there's a lot of things I'm quite happy to say I can't give advice about. But this is something I do think I can give advice about. And the one thing I would say to anyone out there is, it's now been 13, 14 years, and when people see us together, they always think we're in a honeymoon period. They always think we only met like fucking 3 months ago. But it's actually, when we say it's been 13 years, they're like, what? But how? And it's because me and her are growing all the time, but what we make sure we grow together. Because what happens is, in relationships, is through time you grow apart. So because you're both growing, but you're growing in different directions, because you're not checking in on each other. You're not every now and then going, right, okay, wait a minute, where are we at? Where are we at? What can I do for you? What can you do? What can I do for you? What can you do for me? What can I do for you? So every, say, 6 months, we sit down with our laptop or notepad and everything, and we'll be like, right, where are we at? We wanted the house, we wanted this, we wanted that, we want to build, we wanted this much money in the bank, all this kind of stuff together as a team.
Yeah.
In your career, you wanted this. Okay, in your career, you wanted this. Where are we? So we had like individual goals, but then we had our team goals. And so we sit down and make sure that we're still striving for the same goal. So when I say that, it could be anything. It'd be like, do you still want to, like when we lived in London or St Albans, whatever, do we still want to, okay, so I just want to make sure, are you still thinking that we move out into the suburbs? Oh, I'm not too sure about it anymore. Well, I still want to. Okay, well, that's something we've got to discuss. Are we still thinking of having children? What are you thinking on this? Do we still want a puppy? Like, we check in with each other every 6 months, so we don't have this like hurdle one day of going, wait a minute, I thought you wanted this. This is what we've been working towards. So we check in every 3 to 6 months or to be honest with you, I say that, but we probably say it quite a lot more than that when we're going for walks down the beach and that, but we're always checking in to make sure we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And if we're not on the same wavelength, we talk about it, the pros and the cons, and we see where we both are. So we come to a compromise, and then we work towards that. And then we keep checking in to make sure we're going. And we have a rule of, if one doesn't care but one really cares, we will always do who really cares. And what I mean by that is, in relationships, you're always going to have people who don't really care, but they're not willing to do, like,
not willing to compromise.
or not even compromise, but just do what the other person wants to do just to make them happy, just for one night. So do you want to go to the ballet? Not really, but if you really want to go, I will go.
Yeah.
If you don't really care, I'm not spending the money. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if one really cares, if one really wants to paint the wall pink, like really, it'll make their fucking life so much better if that wall is pink. And I personally don't care. I'm not going to stop her from doing it because I don't care that much.
I will.
But you'll get people.
You want a really good point, but I
it.
will stop you here because we all know that you want the pink wall, not her.
Well, yeah. I don't know why that. I don't actually know why that example came up, but the point is like, if I don't personally care, like, I know people who will just say no just for the sake of it. It's like, you don't really fucking care if you buy a white car or a black car. You don't really care that much, but your wife really wants a yellow one. So just get a fucking yellow one. It doesn't matter to you. You don't care. But people see this power trip and it's ego and it's fucking, and it's just like, just whatever, just do that. But anyway, so we kind of just go through this check-in. And then we go to our individual goals. And it's like, right, what are you striving towards? And what are you striving towards? And then with that, we'll see what each other can do for the other one. So if one has to step back slightly while the other one goes forward, one will step back slightly as the other one goes forward. And then we'll get to a point going, do you know what? It's time to push you forward now. Or what can I do for you? So we kind of always are sitting down, finding out where we are and what each of us can do for the other one. So I might say to her, look, I am crazy busy for the next 3 weeks. My exams are coming up, or the next few months, the next couple of months. She'll be like, right, I'll make you dinner. I'll do this for you. I'll look after the dog. I'll go there. I'll do this for the next few months. But then I'll know that she's got conferences and all this kind of stuff. So she'll text me saying, can you bring food up? I'm busy. I'm like, cool. So we're always kind of just going, right, the next few weeks are going to be mental. I need you to be able to do this for me. And I'm like, okay, sweet. And then she'll be like, so we're a team. We just work together and we make sure that we're giving each other what's needed at the times. But the only way we do that is communicating. It's just sitting down every now and then saying, so where are you in your career? Where are we going? And just making sure that as we're going forward and as we're growing together. And if that makes sense. So that's what we do all the time. And we just have absolute massive respect for each other. Like there's never a time, one's not better than the other. We are a team. There's no power tripping. There's no egos playing. It's just, and we met and we got the same values. So it's easy. But I don't know what else to say to that. But the only thing, as I said, it's just pure, unadulterated love and respect.
Yeah.
And it's the fact, as I said, we keep making sure we're on the same path and we discuss that path. And if I said to you, if one really wants something, really wants it, then that's what we do.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a really good answer. And I think it's, it's something that, like, I hold that very dear to my heart when it comes to relationships. And like, I've always said, like, I would never, if I ever catch myself, like, in the pursuit of me pushing my business or anything else, not giving the level of respect that I feel Ellie deserves, I need to pull that step back. And I always think, like, there's two very, very clear paths here. And like, they should join and push together. But like, I should not interfere with this and she should not interfere with this. And it's like, we can build together. And I think there's a lot of amazing takeaways in that like, I love the 6-month thing. I love that. I like stuff.
And it's also it's to be honest with you, it's the number one reason why we are smashing everything we do and we're still spot on. Because we make sure we're going in the same path. We never have an argument because as we're talking about it all the time, there's never a fucking argument to have.
It doesn't get to that, so it's an escalate, right? Exactly,
because we're proactive in our relationship and not reactive. I'm not even kidding you. We've not argued for about 10 years. I can't actually remember the last time we argued at all. Really, and that's why, as you said, people are jealous because we actually had someone the other day say to Sarah, one of her friends, colleagues, actually said, yeah, but your relationship's not normal. We're like, what's not normal?
Shouldn't it?
It should be
Isn't
normal.
that a problem?
That's the thing. Exactly. That's the problem. We sat there and was like, because people say to like always like, we don't actually, I don't know how much why people think, I don't know what I put on social media, but everyone's just always like, you two have such a good relationship. I'm glad that's how it comes across, because we have. And I'm just like, but it kind of makes me sad a little bit, because other people can't find that, or other people don't have that. And I'm just like, but that's what marriage should be. It's like, we spoke about this all the time, and people say, oh, but you know what it's like when you get married. It's like, well, what do you mean?
What does that mean?
Oh, things change. Why do things change? They should be exactly the fucking same. There's nothing what should change, because then I don't get it. Like, when me and Sarah got married, nothing changed. Not one thing.
Do you think,
like, nothing?
Do you think for like people who are struggling to get into those levels of relationships, and it's very difficult because you've been with 13, 14 years with Sarah, I've been with Ellie almost 8 now. But do you think, we were talking about earlier on about social media and comparison and, you know, how it affects us personally? Do you feel there's an element of that when it comes to sort of relationships right now? Because I've seen people that I know the people that struggle the most getting into relationships often have this ideology, this ideal, almost Disney princess view of like the perfect person that spanned from seeing the most beautiful people in the world on social media and the most beautiful lives, and they've all got it together, and not see the rest of it. That like, they can't be, like you said, that proactive in this relationship where you're always talking about issues and it's not expecting things to be perfect. It's like, we'll battle through anything. Do you feel there's less of that now? Because a lot of people expect this person to be the complete package straight away, or I'm out. And they just spin their wheels with this. They never give anyone a chance.
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. I think there's less communication with the younger generation. And I also think we live in a throwaway society these days. So if something doesn't work straight away, it's like friendships. Like, you could have, like, I've known people in a relationship, they have one argument. So we're over. Well, no, we had one argument. Yeah. The fuck? Doesn't mean shit. Like, when I say me and Sarah not argued for 10 years, trust me, when we first found each other, Jesus Christ. I remember the one time when I first met her, in the first few weeks, she stomped her feet at me. I was like, what the fuck?
I love how the worst thing you could think of is stomping her feet. Like, that shows how you.
Oh no, she done it like a little spoiled brat, and I was like, what the fuck was that? But yeah, so she wasn't getting her own way, like, which she was normally used to. And I stood there and just went, well, no. And if you ever fucking stamp your feet at me again like that, I'm walking out that door. And she never happened ever again. Why? Because straight away I showed her respect, and I wasn't going to be walked over like all her exes. And that's why it didn't work, because there was no respect.
Yeah.
So that's where respect comes from. You respect each other enough not to do shit.
I think that's huge. It's something to keep you off with, but I think that's huge. That hit a nerve with me, because that's something I've been very big on, certainly in the early parts of my relationship. Anytime where, you know, like, I can say this because she's not in, but she won't listen to all of this. But like, when like Elle would like do things like, when she would get jealous in the early part of our relationships, or try and look at my phone if I was like, you know, being nosy, I just like, if you let that stuff happen now, it escalates. Yeah. And I used to be very much I used to maybe overdo the response to this, but it was like, don't you dare open my phone again. You should trust me. And over time, at the time, she's like, why are you being so protective over your phone? Whereas over time, it's like, no, you should trust me. And now in a point where I see relationships where people get told off for going out too long, or they get told off who they're going out with, or who's those people in the background on the beach. And I'm like, I never get that.
Look, I'm only laughing because I'm laughing because on my honeymoon, I think the first or second night of our honeymoon, we went out and we were partying with a bunch of 18-year-olds. And then Sarah was wasted, and I took her back, put her in bed, and went back out. And everyone said to her, you let Nick go back out with a bunch of teenagers. And she was like, well, I didn't let him for a start. He's his own man.
Yeah.
But what was he going to do? I was basically drunk and asleep. And so I just want Nick to be there when I don't even notice him. He's just going to lie there. I was like, and she was like, he's my husband. I trust him. Yeah. I wouldn't have married him if I don't fucking trust him. And it's just like, to us, it's so weird because I'm like, okay, this is my honeymoon. So she's asleep. Why can't I go out? And it was just a reaction. Her friends were horrified. And she just kept saying, but what else is he going to do? I didn't want to, it was 2 a.m. I didn't want to stay. She was asleep, like on the bed. I was like, I'm going to go back out. But as you said, it's that trust. And that's where the respect comes from, and trust. And if you've got that, then yeah. But as you said, it is not nipping it in the bud when a whole point, I can't remember how we got to that, but you do have to set the standards of the relationship at an early start. But anyway, it's the throwaway generation. Whenever something's broken, they're like, okay, that's it. They don't want to work at anything. Nothing. It's like as we said about the business, it takes a while. You got to post all the day. People don't watch it. But there's a lot of people out there who, if it doesn't work in 2 or 3 months, let's quit and do something else. And that's the thing. They take this mentality into social media, and we live in this instant gratification world. So yeah, there's a bit of social media issues and the way the generations are growing up. And it has become an instant gratification. And if there's one, and all of a sudden they go, oh, and I have a little argument or a disagreement, that's it, relationship's over. And it's like, well, no, you're going to disagree at the beginning, you're even going to disagree 10, 13 years in. But just because you disagree on something doesn't mean your marriage or your friendship's over. But I think that's where a lot of relationships fall down these days, is the instant gratification. If you have a disagreement, people throw it away quickly.
I think people underestimate how the potential of things growing. Like, I'd like to think I've had a pretty strong relationship the whole 8 years or so, almost 8 years that me and Ellie have been together. But I feel, and I'm sure you're the same, like, but in the last, certainly traveling together, like actually moving away from the UK together, the last 2 years, probably last 2-3 years, it's just grown and grown and grown and grown. And it's because of like, we respect each other, we've grown together as people. And like, it's like, if I made a judgment on a person based solely off one night, one date, or a week of dates, you may never get to that end point, because you've got to be able to like actually find out who this person is and see past the Tinder profile or the Instagram feed.
But on the flip side of that, I do believe in that instant connection, the instant, not love at first sight as such, but the instant connection.
Spark, right?
But and like me and Sarah basically met and moved in together and traveled. It was quite a whirlwind, but I knew literally straight away. Like, I had my fun. I was 27 when I met her. I had my fun. I'm, not going to sit here and beat around the bush about that. But when I met her, I was like, I'm done. That's it. I'm in. The only girl which I ever felt like that. So I knew that was
awesome.
The point. I was like, right, okay, this is the one. But as you said, the thing is, a minute ago when you said about traveling and all that kind of stuff, it came down again because you and Ellie had to discuss things. You weren't back at home in your flat just going through life. It was all of a sudden, I've got an opportunity to go to Hong Kong. She's like, oh my God, I would love to do that. Oh, really? Okay, didn't know that. What else would you want to do? Okay, so there's this. And all of a sudden you go to Hong Kong and you and Ellie are now going, ooh, there is more to life than this. Let's have a discussion about this. And you started speaking now. Your communication's got better. I could be wrong, but since going to Hong Kong, you're probably talking more about things that you want to do and the options that are open to you more, because beforehand you weren't. But since this has happened, you've now probably been discussing things and going, oh, we can go here, we can do this, what do we want, where we're building to, where do you want to live, where do you want to stay, is there anyone else you want to work?
Yeah, I think
opened up discussions.
Yeah, I think with where we've both grown is like I've like probably been always up for discussions, always up for like doing stuff and jumping outside the box and doing something that's like uncomfortable. Ellie was more very much in a comfort zone, very much wasn't sure about traveling. She didn't want to be away from her family, but Ellie was probably better than me at like compromising. Like she compromised for me to move to London. She compromised for me to move to Hong Kong initially, and the next choice of wherever we go next is be a lot on her because it's about her time.
Yeah.
But it's for us, it was sort of like, it's amazing that power of that compromise, because like she's probably settled into Hong Kong better than I have. And yes, she struggles with homesickness a little bit more than me, but she's got great friends, great network. She's loving it here. And as you said, it's now like, oh, we can do this and this and that. And like, I've now like, because I've explored some of the things that I want to do and ticked off some of those bucket lists, on the flip side, I've become better at compromising, because it's like, it's your turn. My next step in my business is probably something where it doesn't matter where I am. And I'm trying to push it that way so Ellie can have a free choice.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying earlier. And that's fantastic, buddy. But I also tell you the other thing, which I missed out earlier, of why we have such a great relationship, is because we fell in love with each other the way we were. And we have never, ever tried to change that.
Yes.
She met me as the kite surfing, goes to the gym, looks after myself, healthy. I met her as the pisshead party girl. Now, when it was like, oh, can we meet at 8 o'clock because I've got to go training? Cool. When we were together, it we want to go out for dinner with, I don't know, Katie and Steve. I don't know who Katie and Steve is, but we want to go out and do dinner with them. I was like, oh, can we make it 8? Because I've got to go training with the boys. There was never oh my God, it's always about training. People just say to her, oh, but don't you get sick about him always looking after his body? And she was like, no, because I met him like that. I met him when his body was a top priority. I met him when we had to arrange dates or arrange what we did around his training. I knew what I was getting into. And then she says like, well, I like if you want, you guys talk about the way he looks. How do you think he looks like that? He goes to the fucking gym. So if I want to look at my husband and think what a sexy fuck, then he's got to go to the gym. He's got to watch his diet. Yeah. But also, that's how I met him. I met him as that person. And they're like, yeah, but she's like, there's no but. If him going to the gym, it's like, even now, 13 years later, if she says, oh, can we go to the cinema tonight? And I go, no, I've got to go to the gym. Doesn't get mad one bit. She's like, oh, okay. What about tomorrow? Okay, we'll go tomorrow because I'll go to the gym earlier. That's it. And people might go, oh, it's like, no, because she knows how me going to the gym is one of the biggest points is one of the biggest things in my life. And that's why when I went through my depression and everything, which we've not really spoke about, but that was one of the hardest parts of my life, not being able to train. But Sarah knows how important that is to me. So therefore, I'm that person. Now, when I was with Sarah, when people say to me, they know how important my life is. If someone says to me, to Sarah go to the gym, I'm like, no. She's literally not going. She's gone to the gym like 5 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, but how do you find that? I don't give a fuck, because I met her when she didn't go to the gym. I don't care. I love her, and she, and like she works late at work. She works, what she does for work, and what her passion is and what she's good at takes her time up, and that's what she doesn't go to the gym. I don't care, because if I wanted a gym bunny, I would have met a gym bunny. I met a pisshead party girl at that point. So in our first 5 or 6 years of our relationship, maybe more actually, her job was in marketing. So a lot of her job would be going out entertaining clients.
Yeah. So
she was drunk literally 4 or 5 nights a week. Don't get me wrong, I didn't love it because of health-wise, not because of anything else.
Yeah.
Just health-wise, which we sorted out later. But I didn't get upset about it because I met her like that. That's who she was. That's who I fell in love with
at that time, right? It was a
Oh
necessary.
yeah, but what I mean is though, I wasn't going to change it.
Yeah.
Because how could I change it? It's who I met. You
Yeah.
don't go into a relationship with, ooh, this is a good project. I'm going to change this person into who I want.
Great.
That's when that is literally when there's no respect in a relationship. That's when you don't respect the person because, for one, you want to change them straight away. If you meet someone, the first thing you think of, oh, I need to change the way they dress, the way they do their hair, and the way they act, and then it's a perfect person. Well, no, that you've literally taken away every bit of respect and power from that person. So therefore, that relationship to me, in my opinion, that relationship's not going to work. And it doesn't have to be in a business, this kind of, like I keep saying, way that me and Sarah, it's just respect for each other. So, you know, I know other people talk about this. If you're doing business, you know, you've got a business and you're working your ass off, and your wife is a housewife, but they work their ass off and they look after the kids, but you still respect them. You don't try and change them. And you do what you can to help them out when you help each other out. It's not about two people trying to strive for business. It's just putting each other, no matter where you are, you put each other on the same pedestal, you love them, and you just don't try and change them. And I think that's the thing about me and Sarah. We've not changed it. We've not even tried to change each other because, for one, we've loved each other for who we are. And secondly, we just have, that's what, when I meet people, they go, oh yeah, when I first met him, he was doing X, Y, Z, so we had to stop that. It's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And that's when relationships to me don't work. It's when people go into it with the premise that they're already going to change them.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I would say is the biggest thing about me and Sarah. And that's when we said about, oh, when you get married, things change. Not one thing changed for us. We just had a big party and carried on as usual.
So like transitioning slightly, because you mentioned about how training was so important to you, and we've barely talked training in for a man who's a trainer. But going into sort of like, you mentioned about your sporting career a little bit, and then you glossed over trying to going into bodybuilding. Like, before going on to sort of what you do now and that transition, like what is it first that made you get into from competitive sport into bodybuilding? And what were the biggest lessons that bodybuilding taught you, and what were the biggest drawbacks of bodybuilding? Because I'm sure there's pros and cons.
Well, I'd always wanted to be a bodybuilder, literally always. But rugby and athletics, I couldn't do that. It was more about performance and to achieve my goal. And obviously, always being told to be bigger was always in my head. And then I got into the bodybuilding because when I joined UP when I was 30, it got to a point when I was like, okay, well, I'm in the right environment now, because I still wanted to bodybuild like before that, but I wasn't in the right environment. I was in a Virgin Active, Holmes Place, doing personal training. I was a personal trainer. That wasn't a place to be a bodybuilder. I wasn't surrounded by those people. So my mentality was your environment is everything. That's why I've started training much better now, because I'll jump back to that in a minute. In St Albans, it's pretty how do I put this? A well-to-do area. It hasn't really got those kind of gyms around. The whole atmosphere is not, you go into the gym, you kind of get looked at funny if you make a bit of a noise, and the biggest guys like 90, the biggest guys like 90 kilos, and they're the big guy in the gym. It's like, okay, it's not the environment. So I've moved to Essex. I've got Whip Gym around the corner. And fucking hell, I walk in there now. Back of my head, I want to be a bodybuilder again. It's just that environment just fired it up in me. I'm not going to be, but I still want my physique and my training to go to the next level now again, because I'm in the right environment. But anyway, so when I joined GP, it just put me in that environment. It was exactly what I wanted. It was, okay, I'm here. Now let's stop bitching about it. Let's stop wanting it. Let's do it. So and I was at the age when I'd done pro rugby. I kite surfed around the world for like 3 or 4 years. Another thing we've not touched on. And then I've done other jobs and that. I've been in the front cover of some magazines, been lean, done some fitness shows. And then I was like, right, I've kind of pushed it now. Let's get on, without being blunt, let's get on some drugs and get big. Because I've done everything naturally so far. I've done some really cool shit naturally. Now I want to see what I can do. I want to push myself to the max now. I've always been a case of pushing myself to the max. Whatever I do, like I lost myself the last few years, but my whole thing, I don't like mediocrity. Just personally, don't like being mediocre. I like being special, always have been. I want to go forward, being something different. And I was like, right, let's just take this shit to the next, let's see what the fuck I can do with my body. Because I always have done. So that's what drove me to bodybuilding. It was like, I've always wanted to do it. I'm now in a position where I've got people around me who will push me, and I've got the knowledge to do it. Because when I walked into UP, at the time I started, virtually at the beginning of UP, nearly 10 years ago when I was there, 11 years ago, there was about 10 trainers, and probably about 7 of them were 120 to 140 kilos. You know what I mean? Shredded. So, you know, when you're in that environment, you're like, okay. And you can let it intimidate you. But for me, I walked in there and went, let's do this.
Yeah.
Fucking let's go. Let's do this. Let's have some fun and experiment, learn by doing. Let's just fucking crack on. So bodybuilding, what it taught me, just again, the hard work. And bodybuilding again is one of those things. The only reason I love bodybuilding was because in rugby, it was like your team could fuck up. Your fullback could miss a tackle and you could lose. Your fly half could miss a kick and you could lose. Even if you've scored 3 tries, you've had the game of your fucking life. Literally the game of your life. You still lost. I played a game for England. One of my caps for England, and I'll never forget this. I touched the ball once and made 1 tackle. I literally was just standing there for like, for the time I was on the pitch. Literally just standing there. Yeah. That's an England cap. I feel like that was a pointless. Whereas athletics, you cross the line first. But I know bodybuilding was one of those things where it just taught me, if you put the work in, you get it. Fitness to me, this is what, like the body, like if someone's in good shape, it just shows me they've got dedication and hard work ethic, because you don't get a good body. Yes, there are some genetics out there, but generally you don't achieve shit without hard work. And that's what the body shows you. So when I was walking around at 110 kilos, people knew that I was working hard. People knew that I didn't miss a meal. People knew I didn't miss a session. People knew I was training my ass off. And because they know that's what it takes. So when all of my, I don't want to say bodybuilding because that was just one part, just training in general, I just believe it just teaches you that in time, you'll get what you want. If you put the work in and you just keep to it day in, day out, you get it. And it's the only thing in life what actually guarantees you results if you put the work in. Because you can be at work and work your ass off and be overlooked because the boss's son gets the job. Even though he's a fucking retard, he'll get the job. Or a girl sleeps with someone and gets promoted above you. This is life. It happens everywhere. Whereas, or the person, a boss that does not like you, even if he steals your work, you're working your ass off, the boss steals your work, tells his boss it's all of his, and you're just sitting there going, what the fuck? And while he's getting promoted and he's a joke. This happens. Everyone's listening to this thinking, yeah, I've been there. In the gym, though, if you go in every single day and fucking train your biceps, guess what? In 6 months' time, your biceps are going to be bigger. Full stop. If you put the work in, day out, you get what the fuck you want. And that's what I love about training. And it's like Henry Rollins had that saying or whatever, that quote of, 200 pounds is 200 pounds, no matter what day it is, no matter how cold, how hot, it never lies to you. It never steals from you. It never cheats on you. 200 pounds is 200 pounds. And that's the kind of way I feel about it all. It's training's honest. Training is the most honest thing in the world. You can't cheat it, because to get results, you have to go in daily. To get results, no matter how you fucking feel, you feel like shit. Someone in your family's passed away, whatever it can be. But you know what? The weights will always be there for you. The weights don't lie. They don't cheat. They don't steal. They're honest. And that's kind of how I feel about like training. I don't want to say bodybuilding, because to me, it wasn't any different to the rest of my world. It was just a different style, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That to me, and that's why that's what training means to me. It's just that it's always going to be there. It's honest, and with someone, if I see someone with a good body, it's quite funny because Sarah jokes about it. When you see someone walking if you're down the beach, whatever, and two guys walk past each other who are in shape, what do? You know what they do? They nod.
Yeah.
Have a little nod at each other. Why? Respect. Because the other person has been dieting. The other person hasn't missed a fucking workout for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So you have a little nod. Like Sarah laughs at it all the time. You have a little nod of good man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I love about it. And that's what training means to me. And I don't think, and no one can take that away from you. And that's the only place in the world where no one can take your effort and hard work away.
So where, like, I don't want to say the word shift, because I don't want to say shift like you're doing something else now, because you are still bodybuilding. That is still the goal. And I want to get away from the prehab, rehab mentality, because I know I think this way, and I know you very much preach this way, is that I'm teaching you to move better, feel better, look better, while still training fucking hard, not sitting there with a rubber band doing balance ball on a Bozu shit. So, but when, like, from the original hardcore pure bodybuilding days, and you've now moved the shift into sort of like, right, I'm now going to start working on how I move, perform better, and then bring this all together. Where did that sort of shift in approach happen to you? Was it that you were starting to get injuries in the gym and niggles, or was it just something that just inspired you through your education? Like, where did this kind of piece get fit into the puzzle?
Do you know what the funny thing was? When I got, I didn't really get injured. When I went through my dysfunctional time, that's what I'm going to use. It was annoying because I wasn't ever going to compete again. I wasn't going to bodybuild kind of in a sense again. There was an old saying, what Paul Chek said, which stuck with me when I was about 20 years old. He said, you build the engine first, and then you teach the driver how to drive. So I was always, my whole point, I was never going to bodybuild forever. But got to the point where I actually was giving up bodybuilding in a sense. I was never going to compete again. And I was just about to start training athletically. I felt great. I was 92 kilos, shredded. And I was training like a fucking beast. I was strong. And I was like, do you know what? Because I've always wanted to look like an American football player. Do you know that kind of, they're jacked, shredded, and they're just sprinting down, jumping around.
Like a mixture between like Terry Crews and Justin Bieber. That's like Nick Daniels' ideal.
But I just kind of like, I had built the body now. I was literally at my physical, in my head, I looked exactly how I wanted to look. And I was the strength and how I wanted to look. And I was at the point when I was like, right, I'm now going to just take that onto the track and jump around a bit more. That I was like a centimeter away from my fucking dream. And then life happened. Life hit us hard. And that's when I realized how much stress, mental stress, affects the body, and how we have to look at the allostatic load. And that's why I always go on about the allostatic load and stress, because I felt it fucking instantly. I was Superman. I literally, that's the only way I can explain the day when I was feeling like Superman. I was like, I can't remember what I was doing. It was like trap bar deadlifting 250 kilos. I remember the session I did, one of the last ones before it went bad. I was like deadlifting 250 trap bar deadlift for like 6 to 8 reps, straight into farmers carries with like, I think it was around 80, 90 kilos per arm into slam balls. And I did that for like 6 sets because I love doing that kind of training. I built myself into exactly what I wanted to be. I was a fucking machine while being shredded. And then some very bad shit happened. My life got turned upside down. And I literally woke up the next day. I felt awful. I couldn't train. I tried to train. My back started spasming up all the time. Every time I tried to do chest, my neck would just cane, and the next day I'd be cracking and I would have headaches. I just felt I was falling to pieces. I tried to do a bicep curl. I couldn't feel my biceps. I tried to do my chest. I couldn't feel. I had no mind-body connection. My back was spazzing up all the time. And I was like, fuck. And I was seeing all like these really cool, I was like, at that point, I started doing like NKT and ART and seeing all these people. None of this was working. I was studying it myself. I was seeing some people who are like the top people in the industry and couldn't work all this shit out. And I was just like, this ain't right. There's something wrong here. But everyone, the old school way of thinking just was, technically, to me, the old school way of thinking, nothing was fucking working. I was like, I couldn't train. I mean, I could not train. Just nothing felt right. I was just in pain all the time. And then I started looking into more stuff. And it's taken me about, I started feeling better. And I started to get my body in a position where I could do stuff. And that started going down the breathing. I hate to say breathing route, but because I hate it when people say breathing, it's just optimal movement, getting the thorax, the diaphragm, getting our body moving correctly. But it does really come back to breathing. And I started making my body feel better. And I started to move how I wanted to move again. And then lockdown hit. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I couldn't train again. So then, and the mental thing happened, and it was just going back and forth. And it was just, so over this time, I've had to learn what the fuck was going on for my own shit, because I was never going to sit there and go, okay, that's it, it's over for me. I'm not that person. I want to lift fucking heavy shit again. I want to run around and sprint again. I want to look fucking awesome. I want to do this all again. So I've got to learn and teach myself what's going on in my body. So I had to learn from necessity, because no one else was giving me the answers which I was seeking. And I was thinking a different way. When I started thinking the way that I think, no one else was thinking like that. So I was like a little island. And I was like, okay, so I was experimenting, trying different things, researching different stuff, and coming up with my own way of thinking. And that's where the rebels came from, because it's like, this is my way. It's 20 years of hard work in different areas of fitness, mental and physical, comes together in my specific way of working. Some people might not agree with it. Some people will love it. The fact of the matter is, it fucking works. And it's a different way of thinking. And that's why I called it Rebels, because it's rebellious against what most of the fitness industry think. Because the fitness rebels is all about, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a rehab. I'm not a movement specialist in such. I just incorporate, I don't know what to call myself. And what I do, the problem is in the industry, which I found, is that we have the rehab and movement people over here who are coming up with really fucking weird, fancy exercises, which I honestly don't think do much. Or if they do, I can do the same shit somehow, lifting up some weight. So it was like trying to take the movement stuff, these, like, don't get me wrong, they're fucking amazing people with amazing ideas. But in my way of thinking is that I can take this and put it into the gym. But then you had the gym guys who were very much the old school rotator cuff, you know, external rotation and internal rotation, and this old school rehab sense. And there's no one in this kind of middle ground of going, right, how can we improve your pain and improve your way you move? But let's look sexy as fuck. Let's still be awesome. Because you get these people saying, oh yeah, just move really nice. Don't worry about aesthetics. That's all ego and everything else. And let's go with hippies over here. And then you get the people, the meatheads who are like, don't worry about fitness and health and movement. It's just about being big. It's like, well, no, let's look fucking, there's a time and place for everything. And it's a sliding scale. If you want to be fucking huge, you've got to give up some mobility and shit, but you've got to know that. And you have to know when to bring that back into someone's, that's where periodization, or that's when your programming comes into play. If someone wants to be really mobile, you got to know, okay, well, your strength's going to dip, because you can't be really mobile and really fucking strong. Yes, there's some freaks out there, but generally, the whole point of the stronger you get, the stiffer you need to be to generate that force and stability to create that strength. So it's just knowing when to play with these modalities and when to push, when to go, and what one to work on for the people's goals. And the problem is people don't think they can achieve their goals because they've been fed this bullshit of, oh, I can't do a marathon while being strong, or I'm 40, so I can't have this, or, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, no, you can have what you want. It's just all comes down to programming. And don't let anyone tell you that looking good is a bad goal. But at the same time, you have to look at the mental aspect of it, because if you're trying to look good to make yourself happier, no, it's a shit goal. Because trying to be happy, that six-pack won't make you happy.
Get yourself happy to look good. I would go the other way around for most people. The people that often, yeah, you might, the process might make you happier along the way, but it's much harder. People who haven't got their shit together going into a diet find it much harder. Need it all.
Yeah, well, I said it every time when I was bodybuilding. When I went through happy periods, I was leaner without even fucking trying. I was like, damn, I always said it. The happier I was, the leaner I was. That comes down to, you might stick to a diet better, your cortisol, water retention, sleep. There's a million things it could be, million of things, but generally, there's a million things you can put into that pile. But generally, being happier makes you leaner for a million reasons.
Yeah.
But if you're trying, but there's this whole world of, what I get pissed off with is, I don't tell anyone you can't have anything. You can have anything as long as you put the work in and you give it time. You can have anything you want. If you want to be on a track and do a bit 45, 50 years old and be sprinting, cool. It might take us 3 years to get the strength, mobility, strengthen your Achilles, and get you on the track, get you strong enough, body, plyometrics, blah, blah, blah. It might take us 2-3 years, but if you're willing to take that time and put the work in, you can have that. If you want to be a bodybuilder, if you want to be whatever, you can be whatever you want. But know, if you want to be an ultra marathon runner, you're going to lose some muscle. You're going to have to put in hours of running and hours of training a week. So you're going to have to say goodbye to that with your kids, if you're cool with that. Just know where the boundaries are, but you can have it. And if we can plan your life and plan the time correctly, you can generally have anything. And I'm not about saying having abs is like James Smith, fucking having abs is pointless. It's narcissistic. And it's like, no, that's your own insecurity, you fucking fat fuck. It's his own insecurities about it. It's because he can't do it because he's an alcoholic. But anyway, it's not like he's not an alcoholic, scrap that, but he drinks a lot.
Yeah.
So he wants to drink instead of having abs, which is fine.
It's values again. It goes back to his values, right? And like
exactly. So that's cool. Yeah. I don't have an issue. I know I just said that, but I don't have an issue with it at all. My issue is when he says to everyone else, it's narcissistic and don't worry about it. Where it's like, no, if someone wants it, let them fucking have it.
Yeah.
But as long as the mentality are right, the lifestyle's right, if it fits into your lifestyle with your family and friends, but then even then, when we talk about goals, if I said to Sarah, right, for the next 3 months, I'm gonna diet. I can't really go out for meals, or if we do go out for meals, I need to be able to eat literally like chicken and veg because I'm dieting. Training's a priority for the next 3 months, which I kind of have said that to her. She's like, cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm being open and honest. And I've said, this is my goal. It's going to be short-lived. So for the next 3 months, I need your help. And she's like, cool. And that's again with goals and setting. Like I said, with family, if you said to your wife, your kids, whatever, you feel like, okay, look, I need 2 months to be like, I'm putting my time and dedication into this. Sweet. So this comes back to, that's where fitness levels, I've gone on a tangent there. Yeah. Fitness levels came from is just kind of like, I like to live in that, in the middle part of where people tell you it's wrong or it doesn't work or that's different. My way of working is very different to how everyone else will work.
Yeah.
And I rebel against the normal way. I rebel against the normal mindset.
Yeah. I think
that's where, yeah.
Yeah. No, so I was saying, like, I think we're talking about, like, there's a really important thing you mentioned there about when you're dieting, you say to Sarah, it's 3 months. And I think a lot of people, when they struggle with their goals, it's struggling with prioritizing. Like, they can't delay gratification to prioritize something for now. It's like, you don't need this forever, but you need to prioritize this if you want a big return on your investment. And like, the other thing I thought was really interesting you mentioned there was about almost being in the middle ground. Like, I think you and Jordan Shallow have carved this niche of being this middle ground in a world where the fitness industry has become, in a way, very splintered. You've got, as you said, you've got the rehab guys on one side, which are completely all like 15 minutes of warm-ups, fucking band drills for 20 minutes before you even lift any weight, and you're kind of bored and run out of time before you even start your A series. You've got the people that just goes, just fucking lift, doesn't matter, just train hard or go home. That, yeah, they probably end up looking slightly better just by pure work ethic, but end up broken in a year's time. And then you've got the RTS sort of crew now, which I'm not against RTS at all. I just think it's sometimes applied very poorly, where you've got a lot of people pumping that ideology where it's like, I don't have that. Okay, never ever go there again. Like, there's a middle ground here. How do I still train hard? Yeah, okay, maybe that's my range now, but how do I get there? And I think the things I've learned from your and Jordan's courses massively is unique ways of, like, how you load stuff, positions you put people in. It's like, you can sort of, to use a better term, hide the rehab stuff. So it's part of your training where you're killing multiple birds with one stone. I think there's an art to being in the middle. And I think it shows that you guys know your crap more than these people that go to the extremes because they cannot choose different tools.
And it's also because people like to be in camps. People like to be, it's lonely. Like, Jordan had to build his own team because it was lonely being this little, I think, like this. Everyone's here, everyone's there. And that's kind of like, I want to build my little rebel team at some point, because it does get lonely being that person in the middle, because people like to be in camps. You have the CrossFit guys, you have the RTS guys, you now got the breathing. Breathing is like the huge thing now, which I think, again, like everything's being taken too far. And like, everyone's just taking everything, goes because they want to be in camps, they want to be in groups, they just want to be part of something, which is fantastic. But with that, along with that though, you do get kind of like trapped into this way of thinking. And you're right, it does take a lot to come out and be in the middle and be like, okay, you might need to do this stuff, but once you can do it, that's it, done. Let's move on. but people keep doing it. It's like everything's progression and everything's just, we've got to build on everything, keep everything moving, everything flowing, everything driving. And that's where people get stuck. But as you said, it's, yeah, being in this middle, it does drive me crazy when I hear people say, as you just said, that I'm sick of people saying they're broken, or, oh yeah, I can't because of my knees. I can't because of my shoulder. I've been told not to overhead press because I've got this, or I've got that, or it's like, fuck that. We can improve this shit.
And
you can improve this.
There's always an element of truth in there. It's like, yes, you might not be safe in overhead pressing now, but the sentence shouldn't end there. It's like, this is
exactly
now we do this stuff to get you there in time.
Yeah. Like, fuck me, you get all these people. You get these people who go to war, get a leg blown off, and they're still running around squatting and shit. And all of a sudden, someone goes, "Oh, I've got back pain. Oh, you should never squat again.
I've got long femurs. You should never squat again."
It's just like, nah, fuck this. It's like, I'm just bored of people using an injury or using something as an excuse. And there's a lot of these people who are teaching these courses use it as an excuse. I technically, my shoulder was fucked. I couldn't even put my hand on my opposite shoulder at one point. And all the tests would have said labral tear and impingement and all this kind of stuff, and never overhead press ever again. And I should go and get surgery and shit. I'm now pressing 40K dumbbells above my head again. And it's like, okay, I've kind of sorted my body out. I didn't have surgery. I've no longer got any pain in my shoulders. But at first, every sign led to a really bad labral tear. It was like, everyone said to me, go and get scans. Oh, you got a labral tear, go and get scans. I was like, well, what's that going to tell me? I've got a labral tear, so what? A scan's just going to tell me what I kind of possibly know, but how's that going to change me? If I had a scan, all that's going to tell me is I've got a labral tear. So what? Then you're going to tell me I need surgery. I know. I'm going to basically sort out my movement. So I worked on the movement of my shoulder, and guess what? It's now fine. And I get a bit of clicking and clunking, and osteopaths at my uni are like, oh my God, look at your shoulder, it's clicking. I'm like, yeah, I've got no pain. I can press 40 kilos above my head. I don't give a shit.
Well, you'd speak about like something really important when it goes back to your values of hard work, in the sense of when people have a lot of injuries. Now we're going into this route of it's the prehabby route, whereas most people I've seen with dysfunction, pain, like tightness, for use of a better term, it's more often than not, with the exception of things like labral tears, which is actually pure damage, is like, I don't feel safe in this range. I don't want to go there. Nervous system says, don't go there. So it's like, if we found ways where you can train hard safely, how many of it is like, you're not training hard enough to actually create a response where you actually get stronger in the places that's going to make this feel better? Because what I can do sat down. But
it's the fact that people aren't investigating why they're lacking that range of motion.
Yeah.
So why doesn't the body feel safe there? That's why you should always do a passive and active test, because if you passively, my shoulder can go there, but actively it can't. That's my body saying, whoa, there's something I don't like. Because the joint's giving me the range of motion in the passive test. So I'm seeing some kind of the discrepancy there, which I have to look into. But you're right, the body's saying, I don't like it there, but let's find out why your body doesn't like it there. Like even a labral tear, like you said, that's actual damage. Well, so what? We've damaged it, but guess what? It was your movement which damaged it. So let's look at what movement I was lacking so that fucking don't damage it. So if I'm lacking a certain position, I'm damaging my shoulder, because to be honest with you, I'm lacking internal rotation on my left shoulder, say. Then when I was trying to get it, I was just smashing up the labrum, or my scapula was not moving correctly. I've done the damage because something wasn't working the way it was. So I need to get my body functioning the way it was. And once I learned more about what was going on, how to move things better, and what could be going on, it's just now, as I said, I've got no shoulder pain at all. And, you know, that's what I got frustrated with more than anything, was people being told their life was over because they had a certain injury, so therefore stop, or change that range of motion, the active range of motion. But then what happens is that active range of motion gets shorter and shorter and shorter, where we should be looking at going, do you know what? Why aren't we looking at improving the fucking active range of motion? Why are we looking at decreasing the range of motion to improve your active range of motion? That doesn't make sense to me. I want to, all these people put in like, on the machines and that, putting things to, behind the arms and that to make sure they can pick the bar. Well, how about we just try and increase your range of motion instead of seeing where you're lacking and how we can increase that, so then you don't need these apparatus to help you.
Yeah.
But again, as you said, they haven't got the knowledge in that middle bit. And at the end of the day, I do pride myself in that. I'm fucking good, but that's 20 years of doing this shit and doing every course and doing stuff that's fucked me up and having to fix myself and fix other people because I fuck them up. And it's, you live and you learn, and I'm good at what I fucking do. And like you saying, Jordan, that, because again, he's been doing it like 20 years.
Yeah.
It takes time. You kind of have to go to these extremes, because I got into, you know, RTS technically is what fucked me up. My interpretation of it, what I was doing, going to these, to be honest with you, what not normally happens, going to these extremes fuck you up.
Yeah.
Because going to every extreme will fuck you up eventually. You have to have this, you gotta be, it doesn't matter if you're in an extreme for a little while, but you've got to come in and out of it. And that's how we become resilient, is working on all these different zones. If we only work in one extreme, you're going to be fucked.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue to sort of like close off and start talking about, like, you know, what you do in your fitness level stay. And I was going to bring this up earlier, and I feel weirdly proud of your development in the Fitness Rebels brand, because like I think there's very, very, very few brands that I generally think this is a personal brand. This really does represent you. And you mentioned this, obviously, Rebels, in terms of rebelling against the way the fitness industry thinks, and that's partly why the way you called it. But I remember vividly of times where you weren't feeling like you were yourself, and times where I remember in particular that the rarest occasion I ever saw you have a drink, and we went for what was supposed to be one glass of wine at Dinorama, ended up being 4 bottles deep, and then we got into it
between 6 of us.
True. Yeah. No, there wasn't even. There was no.
4.
4 of us.
Oh, it was 4 of us. Okay, yeah. There's still of us. I wasn't just 2 of us.
Yeah. But we got very merry, and I remember that, like, at that time when you maybe were wanting to start to be yourself, but you didn't really know how at the time. Getting a notification on my phone going, Nick's added you to Rebels WhatsApp group, and I was like, this showing now this become from probably you thinking about the way you were thinking about training, the way you were thinking about yourself and being authentic, like we spoke about at the start of the podcast, into what it is now. It's a true representation of your journey. I think it was a very, very astute choice for the name of your brand. So after that fairly, all-encompassing big up to your brand, tell everybody a little bit about where they can find you, what, in terms of the podcast, what you do, your courses, your seminar coming up soon. Tell us a little bit about Fitness Rebels.
This is where I'm really bad. I'll get better. So yeah, Fitness Rebels. Unfortunately, someone took the name on Instagram. So on Instagram, it's Nick the Rebel Coach. I've got an annoying thing is the people who have got the name Rebel Fitness, Fitness Rebels, I've only got like 500 followers. So it's quite annoying. But to be honest with you, I'm going to message them soon and see if I can. But so yeah, Nick the Rebel Coach is where I am putting stuff up at the moment. Yes, I'm not too good at that. Me and Simon had a discussion on how I'm going to be experimenting with things and trying to put my in-life personality into my social media, which I find particularly hard. So I'm going to try and work that one out over time. But yeah, so Nick the Rebel Coach, where I put a lot of stuff up, and my stories, I think you'd say are more me, more my personality. You see me come across in my stories. My bad dress, my dress sense and my bad jokes. But so I've got Instagram, and then I have my mentorship, which I take quite a lot of pride in. It's my baby. It's kind of where the Fitness Always mentorship is, where I'm teaching you guys to think. I don't give you answers. I give you the way the body works, and ways that we can integrate things, and the ways that you can start thinking outside the box when clients come in, and ranging from the very basics to the complex. But it's things that I think trainers need to know to be awesome and to get amazing results to their clients. So it goes from the mechanical side of things, where I'm going to make you think about the body in a completely different way, but in a way, as trainers, you can still use exercises which you see on a daily basis and what you probably use already to fix certain issues and to decrease pain and increase mobility and movement, but just with little tweaks. With what I teach you, just little tweaks and little ideas on why you're doing stuff. It's like I say, it's more of a shotgun approach rather than a machine gun. It's like, okay, that person's got that. If we just move someone's Copenhagen to here and rotate their pelvis, boom, okay, sweet. That's because now we're doing X, Y, Z. So it's more of a thought process, which I like to try and teach you guys. Then after the mechanical, we go into the physiological side of it. So the parts of like blood pressure, respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, stress, because then how the physical side of things is also with the inside. So outside and inside, and then finishing off with a little bit how to bring programming together, considering the stress on the body. And when I say stress, I mean the training, the outside life, everything is stress. So it's my baby, and so I love it when I get messages from rebels, the rebel crew, saying, "Oh, my client has no, I fixed my client's pain. I've done this. My client came in 6 years of back pain. I've done X, Y, Z, and they sent me this message." I get messages all the time of photographs of messages what their clients have sent to the trainers. So that I must admit, when I ever feel down, them, because they do fill me with warm and fuzzies. That really does make me feel proud of what I feel when I have people doing that. Then I've got and obviously on my rebels doing smashing things. I've got clients, which again, when we're talking about fitness rebels, I literally have got a guy who could not walk across the car park because his knees hurt so bad, and he could not even pick his baby up out of his crib because he had such bad back pain. We've now got him doing his second strongman competition, which he never thought he would ever do, ever. He's picking up 160 kilo Atlas stones. And this is a guy where 18 months ago thought his life was over because of so much pain. Yeah. So that's kind of like, that's the kind of stuff I do. I like fixing people, but at the same time, achieving awesome shit, as I like to say, making them fucking legendary. And then I've got my podcast, Fitness Levels Radio, which I must admit, again, I've had the pleasure of some amazing guests, which again, to be honest with you, it's one of those, when I have people agreeing to do my shows, just because they actually know who I am, and that is, again, a little bit of a, okay, give myself a little pat on the back. Yeah. Because there's some cool guests on there. So go listen to that. I'm busy at uni now, so I'm now dropping less than usual bi-weekly, compared to what I used to do, but there's still some great ones in there and some great ones coming. So yeah, I think that kind of covers it. The mentorship, online training,
I can certainly vouch. I can certainly vouch from having done your course twice. And it is definitely a must for any trainer want to learn their craft, especially if they're training general population where people are going to come in with niggles and knocks and injuries but want a physique goal at the same time. And I love the fact that there's almost a loyalty bonus that people can cost effectively do it multiple times after the first time, which is it's a testament to you saying that you're there to teach people to think rather than just do, and because repetition is encouraged. And the podcast, there's a back catalogue of some phenomenal guests on there. Like it's definitely had a big inspiration in me running this podcast, I'd have to say, is some of the stuff you put out there. And it's essentially just keep up the good work. But thank you very much, Nick, for jumping on. This has been really, really, really fun. I need to see if this is longer than Luke Lehman's podcast, but it's probably close. But I will definitely put in the show notes all of your links, as well as stating that it's worth every single second, no matter how long it is.
I just can't believe the subjects we spoke about. I wasn't expecting that. But
that is the aim.
It's very strange because on my podcasts, obviously I don't talk much. I'm asking the questions. So being asked the questions is a very strange. Yeah, it's very strange. And believe it or not, I think that's another reason for social media. I don't like talking about myself much. People think I do. People actually think I do, but I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, man, it's been absolutely fun. So that's awesome.
Thank you very much, mate.